Right now, Vice President Kamala Harris and a group of musicians pushing to get out the vote in Madison, how the Democratic Party is appealing to younger voters. And she wasn't the only one making a Badger State push in this final week before the election. Former President Donald Trump in Green Bay, his message to supporters, along with Brett Favre ahead of Election Day. And both political parties focus on Dane County, how local voters could make or break the election in Wisconsin. All ahead on News 3 now at 10. First tonight, it rained and then some tonight. Showers rolling across our viewing area, and while the threat for severe weather is decreasing, some areas have picked up quite a bit of rain, Alex.
Yes, indeed, Eric. From Madison, it points off towards the north and west, and this is what we said would be the case. We've had some pretty hefty rainfall totals in a pretty consolidated area. Let's say from Dubuque right up to Darlington to the southwest side of Madison. Just north of Madison, some rainfall estimates nearing 2 inches. Wouldn't be surprised to see an isolated 2.5 or a 3-inch amount in this narrow band. Widespread amounts of 1 inch north and west of Madison, and then we said areas to the south and east towards Janesville would see considerably less rainfall, but not all the rain is done yet. Still widespread showers with a clap or two of thunder across all of southern Wisconsin. We're keeping an eye yet on one more line of thunderstorms. It has this, what we call a linear feature, a straight feature. What that would mean is the potential we could see some gusty winds with this line of storms if it holds together along the Wisconsin-Illinois border. But it's moving into an area. Look at the temperatures now, upper 50s to right around 60. We've lost some of that heat, some of that energy that those storms would need, and that hopefully will help keep those storms below severe levels. Heavy rainfall still across Dane County. No lightning anymore that I see here on radar 3000, but that rain is still coming down at a hefty pace. Future track showing here's that last line coming through southern Wisconsin, reaching the Dells and Madison right around midnight, and then it presses off towards the north and east. Notice its weakening trend as it moves towards the south and towards the east as well. Coming up in Maine weather, though, we're going to be tracking the end of our wet weather and just how strong those winds will be for trick-or-treaters coming up.
All right, Alex, thank you. Next at 10, Vice President Kamala Harris holds a Get Out the Vote concert and rally in Madison tonight. Our Maddie Heimsch is live now from Alliant Energy Center with how the Democratic candidate is trying to reach those younger voters, Maddie.
Yeah, Eric, one of the trademarks of Harris's visit today to Madison was that target demographic she was aiming for, and it was those young blue, essentially UW-Madison students to get out the vote. And like we said, this is not the persuasion part of the campaign anymore. This is the base vote, get out your vote. And Harris's base here in Wisconsin is Dane County, it is Madison, and it is those young voters. She made that very clear in, first of all, the lineup. We saw Gracie Abrams, Remy Wolf, Mumford & Sons. These are names really familiar to UW-Madison students, but she also made it clear in her speech. Take a listen here.
And I love your generation. I just love you guys. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. One of the reasons is you all are rightly impatient for change. These issues are not theoretical. This is not political for you. This is your lived experience.
So again, getting out that young blue vote, she's talking about lived experience. She gave a couple examples, one of them being she's saying young women now have less reproductive rights than their mothers, their grandmothers. She went on a couple examples, just really, really aiming for those young voters. And again, we saw that in the concert lineup. There was one name that we heard rumblings about that we did not hear. I'm going to bring in our resident Taylor Swift expert to speak to us on that one. Brayden, do you think Taylor's coming?
Well, I don't think Taylor's coming. And to everyone back in the newsroom, I told you so. But while you were standing here watching all those cool performances, I was on the tarmac at Dane County Regional Airport because we got the cool opportunity to be in the motorcade for this visit, and which is something that, you know, the campaigns will hand out to local stations and put a few slots in there, spots open for local stations to go into. But let me show you a little bit of a look inside of what that looked like inside the motorcade. Kind of a fun tidbit that I learned talking to our driver. You might think all those vans are driven by, you know, probably Secret Service, right? No, turns out our driver was just a local Madisonian. And we asked if she had to take a test or anything. She did a background check, and that's all. But really the real moment, why you want to be in those motorcades, is moments like the one that you can see with Kamala Harris when she entered into the Alliant Energy Center and greeted the women's Badger volleyball team. Those type of little stops and little extra things that they do, that's what you get to see when you're in the motorcade. So that's something that we got to see tonight. Now, if you want to see full coverage of what happened and what it's like in the motorcade, I was posting that live on our social media, so you can check out all of that coverage. But for now, I'll send it back to you, Eric.
Yeah, Braden, they never need a background check to drive the media around, or they never need special training to drive us around. Well, interesting back scenes look at that drive today. Braden, thank you. And former President Trump also rallying in Green Bay tonight. Political reporter Will Keneally live at the Resch Center where all has cleared out. He has more on this visit from the former president. Also, Brett Favre there today, Will.
Eric, that's right. Former Packers legend Brett Favre there speaking around mid or late afternoon into the early evening here with former President Donald Trump, speaking around an hour and a half, making his closing argument to voters up here in northeastern Wisconsin, saying what would be the difference between 4 more years of President Trump there and Kamala Harris. Now, the linchpin there certainly for him was immigration. Now, the president's rally also came after Biden supposedly called Trump supporters garbage. Now, on the tarmac here in Green Bay, Trump actually donned an orange vest, took questions from reporters in a garbage truck. Now, he addressed some of this comments during his remarks.
250 million Americans are not garbage. So this Tuesday, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala that you've had enough. You can't take it anymore. You're the worst vice president. You're the worst border czar. There's never been anybody bad like you. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here.
Now, as I heard Trump speaking there throughout about Harris's role in immigration and border security in the Biden administration to draw that distinction between himself and the Democratic nominee. Now, Trump also promising things like as soon as he's inaugurated for a second term, promising mass deportations. And he says that November 5th will, quote unquote, liberate the country. Now, Trump will return to the Badger States this Friday, holding a rally in Milwaukee at the Pfizer Forum. But for now, reporting in Green Bay, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
All right, Will, thank you. Now, including tonight's visit from Kamala Harris, Madison has played host to campaign rallies and events from both sides of the aisle. But why so much focus on a county that's been a historic Democratic stronghold? And what does it mean for the final days before voters hit the polls? Our Armand Rahman spoke to a political expert to find out.
With Dane County's recent population growth, Democrats are trying to boost their base even higher than the 76% that turned out for Biden in 2020.
In Wisconsin, it's going to be a very, very close election.
The main message from each of these visits has been the same.
If you haven't voted yet, I won't be offended if you just walk out right now. Go vote.
Even 1 or 2 extra votes per precinct will be enough to win this thing and send Kamala to the White House.
But Madison and Dane County as a whole has historically been blue. Why is it still so important?
Dane County and Milwaukee County, for the Democrats, really much could make or break the election.
UW political science expert David Parker says Dane County is critical in the numbers game. So you'll see the parties keep paying attention here as the clock ticks closer to November 5th.
You're going to see a ground game like you've never seen before. If you haven't voted yet, you're going to get an onslaught of texts. You're going to get people knocking on your doors.
Parker says by focusing on Dane County, both Democrats and Republicans can still impact what he calls pivot counties that went from Obama to Trump to Biden.
If we see those rural counties coming in and Trump's margins get bigger, that's a bad sign for Democrats. If we see that Republican margins get better in Dane County, that's bad for Democrats.
It shows in an election as close as this, even votes within a swing state can swing pretty wildly.
They're not taking anything for granted. An election that could be 20,000 or fewer votes.
Parker also tells me the surge in early absentee voting could hurt Republicans if they don't keep up the momentum on Election Day.
It's Armand Rahman reporting tonight. Armand, thank you. And after the break, Alex tells us about some cooler weather coming our way this weekend. Plus, a Wisconsin town gains national attention. How Whitewater is dealing with its growing immigrant population. Stay with us.
California banker Eric Hovde has a plan that helps him and hurts you.
Here's the math. Hovde proposed $4 trillion in new tax cuts for rich people like him.
And we pay for Hovde's tax breaks with a 28% cut to Social Security and a 25% cut to Medicare.
Hovde even said he would raise the retirement age.
You have to start changing the retirement age.
Eric Hovde still helping himself and hurting you.
Win Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
Get an 11% rebate on everything for your next project at Menards. Shop our huge selection of window images, blinds, and shades. These room-darkening faux wood blinds are $24.89 after rebate. Plus, get them cut to width for free in-store. OSI Quad Window Door and Siding Sealant is an effective air and moisture barrier. It's weather-resistant and designed for superior sealant performance. Right now, it's just $5.99 each after 11% rebate.
Save big money at Menards.
You don't need to battle addiction alone. Contact the great people at Wood Violet Recovery today. You could be on your way to recovery the same day. Wood Violet Recovery works with a wide range of insurance networks, so a large portion of your treatment may be covered. Wood Violet Recovery will create the treatment plan that best suits your needs. Unlike other rehab facilities, phones and laptops are welcome. Today may feel dark, but there's a brighter tomorrow. Contact Wood Violet Recovery now.
They've been rocking audiences for decades. It's Foghat. Performing live November 30th at Ho Chunk Gaming, Wisconsin Dells.
I just want to make
with special guest, The Empty Pockets. Tickets are on sale now through Ticketmaster. Legendary rock band Foghat. Live in concert November 30th at Ho Chunk Gaming, Wisconsin Dells. Your odds are better here.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
Eric Hovde owns a $3 billion California bank. That's right, he owns it.
And a $7 million mansion on the beach.
Eric Hovde proposed $4 trillion in new tax breaks for rich guys just like him.
And to pay for it, Hovde would cut Social Security by 28%.
Slash Medicare 25%.
And veterans benefits 40%.
Outrageous. Now we know what's wrong with Eric Hovde. This guy is not for us.
Under Kamala, there's been a big hike in Medicare premiums. Social Security benefits don't go far with Kamala's inflation slamming seniors. Now Kamala wants struggling seniors to pay more Social Security taxes, while she gives Medicare and Social Security to illegals. That will doom Medicare. President Trump will make sure no one cuts Medicare or Social Security. Trump lowered Medicare premiums, and he'll end the tax on Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Dare to compare Bob's Signature versus my competitor's similar hybrid mattress. Both have multiple layers of memory foam, but mine is $1,200 less. Sure, they're not exactly the same, but is theirs worth so much more? Dare to compare! In store or at mybobs.com.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Continuing our 3 for the People coverage, immigration has become a hot topic this election season, and Whitewater is one area seeing a growing immigrant population. Late last year, the city gained national attention due to a letter from the police chief asking President Biden for more resources to meet the growing needs. Brady Mallory visits Whitewater to show you the reality of the situation and how the city is welcoming the population and addressing certain challenges.
Like most smaller communities, Whitewater, Wisconsin is pretty middle of the road. If you look across the street, you might see a neighbor who is across the aisle.
I think it's always been pretty middle of the road. It's that the elections are usually pretty close. Pretty close.
Kay Robers has lived here her whole life, but at work, the on-site manager for the community space doesn't see politics, she sees people.
It warms your heart to know that you're able to supply these things that otherwise a lot of them wouldn't have.
The community space opened 5 years ago, and part of it includes a food pantry to help the food insecure. Robers says the need is going up. In 2019, it gave out 33,973 pounds of food. Last year, that number grew to 211,619 pounds. Rober says there are a few reasons. One, things are just more expensive, bringing in all sorts of families to the space. Two, Whitewater has also seen an increase in immigrants, mostly from Central America, like Bessie Antunes, who came here from Honduras 8 years ago. She describes what living there was like.
The truth is that one does not live very quietly because, to start, there is no security.
Bessie says the people of Whitewater have been welcoming to her and her 3 children.
I just came here for a better life, lead a better life, and get more work, because where we lived, there's not a lot of work.
City officials have estimated 800 to 1,000 immigrants have come to Whitewater between 2022 and 2023. Rober says places like the community space are trying to meet the need and welcome the new population.
Whitewater doesn't have an immigration problem. We're working with them, they're working with us, they're going to school, they're finding jobs, they're happy. It's a good situation.
Last year, a letter from the Whitewater police chief to the Biden administration addressed some of the challenges to serving a growing population and asked for more funding for more police officers and for the city to be better able to serve immigrants.
They weren't saying that it was bad that we had them. They were just saying we need help figuring out how we can work better.
The letter went viral, with politicians trying to politicize immigration here into a problem that is burdening city resources. City manager John Wydell says the reality is actually much different.
Not that there are no issues, but we have some very specific issues related to the language barrier and some specific types of call volume that we're seeing related to driving without a license.
Wydell is referring to instances of immigrants driving without licenses. As for the letter, he says it's led to outcomes the city was asking for, including a grant to help hire more officers and other funding to address staffing needs.
Senator Baldwin has made there's a direct appropriation to the city of Whitewater in the federal budget. Now that still has to go through reconciliation, but I believe that's an $80,000 appropriation that would go towards immigration liaison, which is something specifically that the chief was requesting.
As for Bessie, she says her experience has been pretty positive and most people are welcoming, but she's still faced challenges of her own. I asked her if there's ever been a time when people treated her differently because she speaks a different language.
Yes, there are some people that just try to intimidate you just because you're not from here and you don't know English.
Rober says there are other positives to having a growing immigrant population, including new businesses like this grocery store. In the future, Rober's hopes the topic of immigration becomes less politicized, leading to more people crossing the aisle or even the street and meeting in the middle.
We just think about where we all came from. There isn't anyone here that wasn't originally from a family of immigrants.
As much as you can say Whitewater is representative of Wisconsin and the purpleness and the purpleness of the state, I think also we represent Wisconsin in that the median person, voter, whatever you want to call it, is generally concerned with helping their neighbor, right, and doing the right thing.
And that was Brady Mallory reporting. And it's not just Kamala Harris and Donald Trump who are campaigning in Wisconsin today. Senator Tammy Baldwin also bringing special guests of her own to Baraboo. California Democratic Congressman and Senate candidate Adam Schiff and former Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes joined Senator Baldwin on her bus tour. Our Ellie La Liberté was at the meet and greet today in Baraboo.
With less than a week to Election Day, Purple Sock County has not escaped the attention of the senatorial candidates.
In the final days of a campaign, it's really about getting the vote out.
16 counties in 5 days. That's Senator Tammy Baldwin's latest effort to keep her Senate seat. And her final stop, Sauk County.
Sauk County is one of the bellwether counties in the state of Wisconsin.
The county did vote for Baldwin in 2018 and 2012. But even Baldwin supporters like Greg Weiss say
it's going to be a close election.
According to a newly released Marquette Law School poll, Baldwin is leading her Republican challenger, Eric Hovde, 51-49 among likely voters in Wisconsin. And at an event in Baraboo, Baldwin touted her record on health care with both California senatorial candidate Adam Schiff and former Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes' support.
She's one of those rare people who works across the aisle, gets things done, delivers for her constituents. She's expanded health care for millions of Americans.
My MO as a senator as well as a candidate is to travel everywhere in this state.
But Baldwin isn't the only one putting on miles. Hovde visited Sauk County last Saturday. And in a statement to News 3 Now, his campaign says, quote, Senator Baldwin campaigning with 2 radical liberals less than a week before Election Day proves she is out of touch with Wisconsin values and is radical, extreme, and wrong. It's time for a change. For voters like Greg,
I really like the fact that we're getting a lot of attention, that we're getting Senator Baldwin and others to come and to talk about what's important to us.
Reporting in Baraboo, Ellie Liberté, News 3 Now.
Ellie, thank you. And showers moving through tonight. It'll be a chilly Halloween as well. Alex has the details in our First Warn forecast.
Eric, big changes on the way to southern Wisconsin. After 80-degree temperatures, it's going to feel significantly colder by the time trick-or-treaters get out, only in the 40s. More on that in just a second. Storm Tracker keeping an eye on one more area of showers and a couple of isolated thunderstorms over far southwestern Wisconsin. The rest of southern Wisconsin, we're having that heavy rainfall, but no thunderstorms right now. But this last line here bears a little bit of watching as it stretches just west of the Platteville-Dubuque area down into eastern Iowa. And what we do is we keep an eye on lines that are linear, straight up and down, because sometimes they ebb and flow, and as they do that, they kink, and you can get little brief spin-ups. That threat is very, very low, though, across southwestern Wisconsin, but it's not zero. So there is the potential still yet for an isolated strong storm with some gusty winds. We cannot rule out the chance of a very, very low chance of a weak brief spin-up tornado. We're keeping a close eye on that line. More on Future Track in just a second. What is certain is the continuation of perhaps another half inch, maybe upwards of an inch of rain as this continued area of showers and thunderstorms moves through the area. And this is on top of already 1 to 3 inches of rain that has followed from Madison and points off towards the northwest. Here's Future Track, bringing that line of showers and maybe a thunderstorm or two right up to Madison to the Dalles by the time we get to 12 o'clock. Scoots right off towards the east by 2 o'clock, getting out of the area. Then just an isolated shower or two, maybe a clap of thunder along the actual cold front coming through at 9 o'clock. On the backside, the winds really are going to come out of the northwest. Don't be surprised to see a sprinkle or maybe even a flurry or two up towards Juneau, Adams, Marquette, and Green Lake counties. And those wind gusts will be roaring 40 miles per hour, 30 to 40 miles per hour over the southwestern part of the state. We do have wind advisories to the east of Madison. So a windy return to cooler temperatures, much cooler temperatures. As we plan Halloween evening, we'll be dipping down into the 40s. It's not going to feel like the 40s. It's going to feel more like the 30s. And when we go from 80 to 30, that's a 50-degree feels like swing for trick-or-treaters Halloween nights. You're going to want to bundle up. Following Halloween, we have a pleasant and seasonable Friday in store, 57 on Saturday, then a series of wet weather systems, Sunday, Monday, going on into Tuesday. Those weather systems could bring some heavy rainfall to southern Wisconsin as well, so areas that don't see heavy rainfall tonight, that'd be south and east of Madison, have a good chance of seeing heavy rainfall as we head towards Election Day Tuesday. We'll be right back.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
You have a clear choice in this election. Senator Baldwin is a 38-year career politician. I'm a businessman and job creator. She supports taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. I'll close the border. Tammy wants to put guys and girls sports in their bathrooms. I'll protect our daughters. Senator Baldwin abuses the political system. I'll fight the corruption. I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I'd be honored to have your vote.
I, Kamala J.D. Harris, do solemnly swear.
Kamala swore an oath, but Kamala created crisis after crisis. Our troops murdered, an open border, crime in our streets, skyrocketing costs, assassination attempts, Americans abandoned during disasters, and we're on the brink of World War III. A broken oath and a broken America. Kamala can't be trusted in the Oval Office. Vote for President Trump and save America. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Kamala backed Biden on everything. She supported his disastrous economic agenda, higher taxes on the middle class. Kamala backed his open border policies, and their weakness invited wars. President Trump fights for you. His strength kept us safe. Trump cut taxes for families. Prices were lower, and the border secure. But Kamala wants to double down on failure. Kamala broke it. President Trump will fix it.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
We hold the most powerful tool to make democracy work for Black Americans, and that's our vote. Registering to vote takes less than 10 minutes. Help protect democracy. Go to myvote.wisconsin.gov to check your voter registration status. In-person absentee voting begins Tuesday, October 22nd. City of Beloit buses will provide free rides on Election Day. Let's be all in and vote on November 5th.
Donald Trump intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations, to cut Social Security and Medicare, to impose what is in effect a national sales tax. When I am president, I will bring down the cost of groceries. My tax plan will give 100 million more Americans a tax cut. And unlike Donald Trump, I will always put the middle class and working families first.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
Eric Hovde owns a $3 billion California bank. That's right, he owns it.
And a $7 million mansion on the beach.
Eric Hovde proposed $4 trillion in new tax breaks for rich guys just like him.
And to pay for it, Hovde would cut Social Security by 28%.
Slash Medicare 25%.
And veterans benefits 40%.
Outrageous. Now we know what's wrong with Eric Hovde. This guy is not for us.
It's a scene that just doesn't look right. The Hawkeyes carrying the Heartland Trophy off the field and into the locker room to celebrate. But it's something the Badgers have watched happen 3 of the last 4 years. And in those losses, Wisconsin was out-physicaled by Iowa, something they pride themselves on. So Saturday night in Iowa City, the Badgers say they're going to make sure that Big Brass Bull is making the trip back to Madison.
See that empty trophy case every day in our locker room. You know, I think it hurts, and I think it means something to us. You know, and I think like you said, it motivates our team, not just for the game, but you know, in our preparation.
It's my 3rd year, and I hadn't even seen the trophy. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big thing for me to bring it back home, and I know it's a big thing for the whole team to bring it back and put it where it's supposed to be.
Wisconsin's secret but not so secret scrimmage with Northern Iowa did not go so well. The Badgers lost by 10 to the Panthers. Now, before we hit the panic button, remember, it was a scrimmage. It doesn't count. Neither does this one. Wisconsin hosting UW River Falls in an exhibition game. First bucket of the night belonged to John Tanjay. The corner triple, 3 of his team-high 15 points. And the Badgers showing off some pinpoint passing early on. Ball finds Nolan Winter, and he slams it home. Wisconsin used a 24-5 run to pull away in the second half. The real season begins on November 4th. We're back after this.
The other side is lying to scare you. Truth is, Joan Ballweg is a champion for women's health care. She fought hard to expand healthcare access for postpartum moms and supports access for IVF and birth control. We're voting for Joan Ballweg because she votes for women like us.
I'm a steel worker. I grew up right here on the little family farm. Trump was here campaigning with Elon Musk. Now there's a prime example of who he keeps close. Donald Trump cares about his billionaire friends. He's just going to turn around and give them more tax breaks. But Kamala Harris is fighting for the working class. She'll make billionaires pay their fair share. That way working people get a fair shot. Elon Musk is voting for his money, and I'm voting for mine. And I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
According to Senator Baldwin, I'm a jerk. Her whole campaign is trying to get you to hate me.
She's lied about where we live, what Eric has said and done.
Now she's trying to scare seniors, saying I'd take their Social Security away. I would never do that.
If honesty and integrity are important to you and your family, shouldn't we expect the same from the leaders of our country?
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I sure hope those values still matter.
Kamala backed Biden on everything. She supported his disastrous economic agenda, higher taxes on the middle class. Kamala backed his open border policies, and their weakness invited wars. President Trump fights for you. His strength kept us safe. Trump cut taxes for families. Prices were lower, and the border secure. But Kamala wants to double down on failure. Kamala broke it. President Trump will fix it.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
I'm working harder than ever just to pay the bills and provide for my family. But here's what Kamala Harris thought my money should go to instead. Job training for illegal immigrants, even after they commit crimes in America. Hotel rooms for illegal immigrants while our vets sleep on the street. Sex changes for illegal immigrants out of my pocket. Seriously, have these people lost their mind? Kamala Harris can never, ever be our president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Quartz takes a different approach to health insurance. We know every life well lived is a journey, and we're here to light the way at every step. That's why for 40 years, we've been alongside the doctors and hospitals who know what their communities need. Because they're a part of them. Because we're a part of them. There's a fire burning in all of us. Let's ignite it together. Quartz. Find your spark.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
I am a strong believer in pro-life. I am totally opposed to abortion.
Eric Hovde supports abortion bans. Republican extremists in the Senate already want to ban abortion nationwide. No exceptions for rape or incest. They want more anti-abortion judges. And to even make birth control and IVF illegal.
I am totally opposed to abortion.
We can't trust Eric Hovde.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
News 3 Now, election night coverage, Tuesday.
Quickly to Alex, final check of what's going on out there.
Yeah, we're still keeping an eye on some showers and a couple isolated thunderstorms over southwestern Wisconsin, south and west of Madison. Keeping a close tab on this because there could still be 1 or 2 storms that have some gusty winds. That tornado threat is very, very low, but we're keeping a close eye on it. Then everything transitions over to a windy Halloween.
All right, Alex, thanks. Thanks for joining us, folks, for News 3 Now at 10. Have a good night.